which is really needed during this time, is we're going to be doing this every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 5. Now, EMGAGE is a volunteer community, so we really depend on the kindness of community to help us with that. Obviously, if you can phone bank other hours, we will take that. If you're available one of the 2 days, we'll take that. If you're only available for an hour, we'll take that. I will, once you sign up on the link, we will provide you, which I will send you the links by email. So don't worry, everybody, you will all get the updated links by email, I promise. If you're here, we have all your contact information, so no worries. So everybody will get a training. We'll do a training together. We actually have 2 mini trainings. The trainings, I promise you, is no more than 30 minutes. I've timed it. Oh, somebody's, Olivia, can you stop the edit mode? I see somebody wrote a line on there. So if you can stop the edit mode, I think it's called. So 30-minute training once you sign up with the link. And then after you do that, we have just a real quick one-on-one, myself and you, just going through some last-minute things. And then we hand off what's called a virtual phone bank. The virtual phone bank is really easy. You can do it from your home computer. You can do it from your phone. It's a script that we do, and I did include a little bit of that here for folks to see. Roll down. Whoop. Yeah. It's a real simple script. It's there, just a couple of things to go through. Now, this will change as time goes on, but I'm just sort of giving you a preview of what the calling would entail. I promise you, I'm there to hold your hand. This was completely out of my comfort zone. When I go back through and think of the times, like, I don't know if I could call people. I don't know if I could door knock. But you know what? I'm more worried about losing democracy. I'm more worried about losing our health care and affordable housing and all of those things. So I found the courage to start making those calls. And what I found out, much to my surprise, is people really wanted to talk to you. Yeah, you get some cranky people once in a while, but for the most part, people were really happy to talk to you. And it's really good information that we're sharing with them on our phone bank. Right now, the first thing that we're talking to folks about is how are they doing? How's their family doing? This is really critical right now. We're not calling folks right now to register or to vote for a candidate. These conversations are deeper than that. We're trying to build community. So first thing is we're checking in on folks. How are you doing? How's your family doing? We're also reminding folks, have you registered to vote? Have you requested your vote by mail ballot? We want to make sure that folks have done that. I think we all saw what happened in the news a couple weeks ago in Wisconsin. It was extremely dangerous for folks to have to go make a choice between voting and not voting on election day. With everything going around right now, we want to make sure that folks have an opportunity to at least have that vote by mail ballot. Additionally, the last thing that we are doing is asking folks to complete the census. We know that if we do not complete the census, we are an underrepresented community, and that's just not acceptable. Now, I tell people this when I go through the training with folks on the phone banking. When you're talking about the census, we have to keep in mind that the census, by law, they are not allowed to share that information with other government agencies. The census is for 2 main reasons: allocation of funding in our government, and the second thing is allocation of our representatives. So if we are undervoted or if we are underrepresented, we will not have that representation in our government, as well as the funding that goes along with that. And people that are undocumented should feel safe enough to do that, as I said, because that is not shared with any other agency. So I do like to point that out. So that is our phone banking initiative. We are doing that twice a week. Going back here, again, that's every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 5. Now, what does that mean? I will be online at a Zoom link that I will give you. We will phone bank and do training together. We'll phone bank for 20 minutes, take a break as a community. We can talk to each other just like we're doing here, have questions, and then get back to the phones. If anybody is looking for community service, wants to help, I know we've got a lot of good folks in the community that are used to going to help, maybe at a food bank or doing something like that. And now we're all stuck at home. This is a great opportunity to come on once a day, maybe an hour a day, if you can spare it, and just donate some of your time. We'd be really appreciative. And I'm really grateful right now. We've already got folks that are already starting to do that. One gal, she's like, Lori, I'm in, I'm doing 1 hour a day. And on a side note, please note, this is a great opportunity also for students that are looking for community service hours. Because we are a 501c3, we can offer community service hours. And there's a lot of kids that are stuck at home right now that are looking for volunteer hours. But in addition to kids, we welcome everybody to help with phone banking. So I'm going to stop right there and open it up for any questions anybody has on phone banking before I shift into the next initiative. Is there any questions? You'll have to unmute yourself. Hey, seeing all these beautiful faces here. Anybody have questions for me? Let me check the chat.
Laurie, so will you provide a script?
Yes, we provide the script. So not only that, I provide you the training. I'm going to provide you the script, and I'm going to be there with you all those days to hold your hand. So we're in this together.
Lori, this is Saima. I had a question. So
Sure.
for this particular phone banking, right? I heard your comment about that we're trying to build a community, which is so important. But essentially, will the script, and I got a chance to look at it, but I don't remember exactly what it said. But is the purpose of the call, because these are people who have already sort of had an interaction with EMGAGE already, so they're already part of our information database. Is that where this? So those are the people who exactly would we be contacting?
Yeah, so we are actually calling in the state of Florida. I believe eventually it'll be Georgia and the South, but we are calling folks on the van, and they are targeted under that as being Muslims. Okay. Now, in addition to that, some of them would be obviously EMGAGE members, but it is not the EMGAGE membership list only. It is all registered voters who are considered warm, have voted the last election cycle, or also kind of mild. They might have voted, maybe skipped an election. But for the most part, everybody has been very friendly. We have not had, any too many cranky people.
And the purpose of the phone bank call would be, so I plan to volunteer my time. So the purpose of the call would essentially be to reach out, but then to inquire and assist them in being, if they aren't registered to vote, how would we be helping them do that?
Yeah, great question. So the purpose of the call is threefold. Number one, we're calling on behalf of EMGAGE just to check in that they're doing okay. How are you and your family doing during this time? That's number one. The second purpose of the call is, hey, we're also reminding folks to register to vote and request a vote by mail ballot. If they've not done that or they need information, we have a tool that we can get them that, and it'll be pretty easy for them to do that. The third purpose of the call is just to remind them to complete the census. If they've not done that, we have a tool to send over to them to help them do that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. That helps. That helps me understand, if I'm spending that time, how would that sort of align with the goal that we have for 1 million Muslim votes?
Yeah. So it's really, that's a great question. So it's really community building. We're just checking the temperature of everybody. How are you doing? The second is to make sure that they have registered and empower them if they have not. Also, in addition to that, make sure that they've been able to request their vote by mail ballot. If they haven't, we will put the tool in their hand that'll make it easy for them to do that. And the third thing is just to make sure that they've completed the census. But the number one goal, if I'm doing a training, I would say the number one goal right now is we just need to check in on folks. You know, it's never good whether you're a party or an organization just to call up about voting. People don't want to hear that. So we definitely want to have that more of a stronger conversation about how are you doing? We're just checking, and we are compiling a resource guide for them to share with them. Just a general resource guide of, you know, information for them and their family during COVID times, and we will share that with them. But in addition to that, hey, friendly reminder, if you need us to send you a link to complete your census, or can we send you information on how to register to vote, we can do that as well.
Hi, Lori. I have a couple of questions. This is Tasneem.
Yes.
So my question is that because we are a nonprofit, we are we're a tax deductible organization, 501c3. We have to when we are doing the training, are we training people to remind them not to vote, suggest to vote for a certain person or not? Because people do tend to get very passionate about this.
Yes. Yes. So my trainings are all taped. I tape all my trainings. And I do remind them that we are nonpartisan. In fact, some of the students have actually emailed me. I just want to make sure, is this about a candidate? I'm like, absolutely not. This conversation, and if you read the script, it is not candidate based as well. And I point out to folks that sometimes people will want to take you down that rabbit hole of a conversation about candidates. We aren't doing that. Our number one goal is simply to check the pulse of folks, how you're doing, make sure you've registered to vote, and have you completed the census. So I feel good. And I also do checkups with the volunteers. I've been emailing voicemail drops and talking to them. So I'm going to continue to do that just to find out how their calls are going to ensure that we don't go down that rabbit hole.
Can I just say something, Lori, to just manage the questions that come up? People, if they feel comfortable, they can also hit the button to raise their hands in the chat function.
Please.
So you can see, and then you can also type in your question. If Lori doesn't get to it now, she can get to it later. And if she doesn't get to it during this call, we can email a response back based on the question. So feel free to raise your hand in the chat or type in your question.
Thank you so much. I'm really not good. My family will tell you I'm not very good at walking and chewing gum at the same time. So thank you for that. I'm so grateful tonight. Olivia is on the back end also helping me monitor the questions and the raising hands and the muting and the unmuting. This is all new territory for all of us. So really appreciate any help. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions? And that's a great point. If you do have a question and you want to ask, please unmute yourself. If you're on your phone, you can do that. Just click mute and unmute on your phone. If you're on your laptop or computer, you can click the button in the lower left-hand corner there. Does anybody else have a question about phone banking before I move on?
I do.
Yes.
Would you review again how the Zoom and the phone banking sessions work together?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you. That's a great question. So first of all, when you sign up for our phone banking, you will get an invite to our training. We have just a real simple training with a quick questionnaire. After that training, I will send you an invite to have a Zoom like one-on-one with me to pass off the virtual phone bank. And then depending on your hours, if you're, let's say you want a phone bank on your own, you're welcome to do that. I'll check in with you once in a while. How's it going? Just, but you're also welcome on that Tuesday and Thursday, those hours from 1 to 5, you'll have a link and you can join all of us who are phone banking. Now, obviously in a session like this, we would not all be on unmute making our calls. It's more like we're a community and okay, maybe we put in the chat, we start at 1. At 1:30, we're gonna break. We'll take a 10-minute break, check in with folks. How's it going? How are your calls? All right, we're gonna get started in 10 minutes and we start phone banking again. The idea being is just like we would normally be in a phone bank room, we kind of take a break and talk about how our calls are going or, what's happening in your community or, what's going on. The same thing can happen in Zoom. And so that is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing that every Tuesday and Thursday. We'll be having that community there. If you can't make it at 1 o'clock, you can hop in at 2. We will be there. We will be there continuing to have those calls. And the one thing I will really stress is that a lot of people wait until right at the end of right before election to get involved. It means so much if you just help a little bit, even now, just a little bit at a time makes a profound impact. And we know Florida is a battleground state. So we need all hands on deck making calls now. So if you have a choice of time, like, I don't know, I would ask for your time now. Did that answer your question, Mr. Townsend?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Any other questions?
This is Yawar Nancy.
Hey, Yara.
How do we get the list of these people that you are talking about? Where do you collect this list?
Yeah, great question. So once you've completed the training, and then I schedule a one-on-one with you, I will give you access online. Let me scroll down so you can see. You don't have to worry about anything. You'll have access. Go down here. You'll have access to online. It will be a phone script, if you will, and it will have the numbers, the contact information. But I would provide all this to you after you've gone through the training.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right. If there's no other, and please, if you can, mute yourself. If you have any questions, I will be checking the chat, or you can raise your hand. I want to speak now about our next, hold on, sorry, scroll down. Our next initiative, hopefully you can see that. Oops. Is Postcard to Voters. Now, Postcard to Voters is an initiative my grassroots group and many groups around the country actually have found a great success with Postcard to Voters. And Postcard to Voters is an initiative to get folks who are maybe those warm voters to come out to vote. And so what it does is from an organizational standpoint like ours, we're going to be building community. So the goal is every Thursday, if you can, join us online, and I would provide you the link once you sign up. Join us online, and we're going to be talking about our initiative for postcards. Now, obviously, I cannot physically hand you a postcard. I know that question's coming, but we've got some strategies to work around it. So we will be coming together every Thursday morning, talking about our postcarding that we will be doing. Now, in a normal situation, groups would be meeting like every Thursday or, you know, once a month, and we're writing again a personal postcard, a personal note, very short, to a voter who's kind of identified as on the line, if you will. And there's two benefits to that. Believe it or not, letter writing and those postcards has been proven to have a little bit of a bump in the voting. And the second reason is community building. Powerful, because when we keep our folks at EMGAGE involved, maybe they come in as postcard to voters, but maybe they transition into door knockers, or maybe they want to get involved in phone banking or taking leadership in other initiatives. So Postcard to Voters is really powerful. We've done amazing things. The group that I belonged to last year, we sent over 50,000 around the state. So that's just a small grassroots group, and there are many groups. Believe it or not, there are a lot of groups doing Postcard to Voters into Florida because they understand how tight a race we can have. And that is also nonpartisan. It's just a reminder, hey neighbor, don't forget to vote, election is coming. We will collect those as time goes on, and then they will be dropped in, I think it's mid-October is when they get dropped. So that's a great initiative. As I said, two benefits to that. Number one is the fact that we can build community, have conversations, and I'm also going to include some letter writing in there, opportunities for folks, very powerful, not just to our friends and neighbors in our community on the postcarding side, but also I'm going to allow people, if they want to do some letter writing, I'll have information on the legislators if there's any issues or anything like that, but we will keep it nonpartisan. Let me double check. Any questions on the postcarding to voters initiative? And again, once you sign up, I will send you the link for that, and I will be there every Thursday. Double check if there's any messages. If you want to ask a question, please unmute yourself, and you could do that in the lower left-hand corner, or if you scroll over your photo there. Any questions? No? All right. Just double check. All righty. All right. Last but not least, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here. We will be sending out a link. Maybe if you're not ready to commit or help with postcard to voters or phone banking, but you want to get involved in some way with EMGAGE, we have our volunteer sign up. My goal is to help that million. We've got a lot of work to do in Florida. So there will be text campaigns, social media, the phone banking, all these initiatives. And eventually when we get out and we get to meet each other again, we've got a lot of in-person work to do. So this is really exciting times. I will have that link there for you. If you want to get involved, please just sign up. So you'll go on my volunteer list and I can reach out to you when it's convenient for you. I've already had people sign up and they're like, you know what? I just want to get on your list. I'm going to circle back with you as soon as school's out. Okay. I will follow up with them then. So that link is there. If anybody is interested, please sign up. So we're going to send out in the follow-up email the sign up for the postcard to voters, sign up for the phone banking, and the sign up for general volunteering with EMGAGE. And I think I've been talking for way too long. So I'm going to take a step back, see if anybody has any general questions for me.
So Lori, just to clarify, if somebody's interested, they should sign up from the link and kind of choose what options they're interested in, and they'll receive information on that?
Yeah, so we will send them 3 links. The first is if they really want to get into phone banking, I'll send them that link. The second link I will send is the postcard to voter link. They want to get involved with that. And the third is just general volunteering. I'm interested in, and they can kind of tell me my talent is I'm not very good at phone, but there's a kind of a drop down menu there of items for them. So it could be phone banking, text banking, social media, or everything. So it's just a general sign up, and I will follow up with them. And depending on when we reopen, and maybe some people want to do tabling, that'll be an option on there as well. So we'll follow up with them. Do you have any other questions?
I had a question. This is Sumbala. You had mentioned that the objective was to get a million Muslims to vote this time around. I was curious. First of all, that's across the U.S. you're talking, correct?
That is correct.
And then secondly, what do you have any idea or any numbers on in the last election, what the numbers were, just to get an idea of, what our effort is here in comparison to how many people voted last time in the last election?
I would defer to somebody else. I don't have that number.
So I do not have the exact number, Sumla, and thank you for that question. That's actually a good question. But the last election cycle, as per our assessment, the Muslim vote did increase by 25% in Florida alone. But I can get the numbers for you guys, and like the exact number.
Yeah, I was just curious because it would give us an idea of what our level of effort is here, in terms of what was last time and what we're trying to achieve this time around.
Yeah, compared to many election cycles of the history of our community in terms of voting in last election cycle, which was 2018, the Muslim vote did increase by 25% in Florida alone, and all over in all the EMGAGE states, there was like a substantial double-digit increase in Muslim voter turnout.
Afifa, this
Okay.
is Saima, and that's, you're comparing that to the 2016 turnout. So we
Correct.
sort of increased it by 25% in the 2018 midterms, and that, just for everyone's benefit, was an off cycle, like, you know, it's a midterm, so there's no presidential election to bring people out. People just turned out for the midterms, which was for Florida, the governor's race, and other Senate races that might have been on the ballot at that time. So there's really quite an opportunity for 2020 to take the numbers that we had in 2016 and really increase them for 2020.
Correct. And there's like direct correlation between the voter turnout and how much political influence our community has, right? And I'll give you an example. Like, you know, we were working in one of the city to make sure that there's Muslim representation on the city boards and stuff, right? And when we went to the candidates, we got like, you know, a lot of people engaged. And they were like around 2,000 in that city. The Muslim voter, registered voter number in that city was around 2,000. And post-election, when we did an assessment, there were a total of 2 Muslims vote in that whole district, right? So now, when we are seeing the numbers, the candidates are seeing those numbers too, right? We did get like an appointment in that city, but that was like our relationship with the candidates. But you know, ultimately, the whole influence is dependent on how much votes we will turn out.
Okay,
can't-
thank you.
That's a great question. And I can tell you that our call list is over 100,000. So we have a lot of folks we're reaching out to. I need help.
Lori, is that only in Florida that we have 100,000?
Great question. I believe it's more than that. I think it might be 120. And yes, it's Florida.
Yeah, these are the number of registered Muslim voters. Now, there are some technicalities on like how we calculate these votes, right? Because we get the list from voter database, and you know, as you know, we cannot cross-identify who is Muslim and who is not. So right now we're doing a name match, which is like not ideal, but a lot of it is coming from when you are doing phone bank, right? And you're talking to the people and you like, you know, talk to them and they say, yeah, we have 4 more people in our household that are registered voters, and you get the data and that it adds on to the list. So where you're doing a huge service to get the Muslim vote out, you're also doing a huge service to build the infrastructure that is needed to get the vote out.
Yeah, and I would reiterate that in any type, and I know this from the previous election cycles, every time that we get into phone banking, we have an opportunity to improve the list. And I think that this goal of 1 million Muslim voters is incredible, and that will just really help a lot with making sure that we've worked hard to make sure the data is correct, that we can engage with people. In addition to that, the phone bank, as I said, we are providing resource information for folks, and we will be emailing and texting them. So that's another way to kind of make sure that EMGAGE is top of mind for folks, that we're there to help get out the vote in the community.
Can I just answer one of the question that I think one of the sisters asked about the 2018 midterm election for Muslim voter turnout? Do we have time?
Yeah.
So the statewide Muslim voter turnout was 53% plus 22%. So we hiked to 22% in the midterm election. So that's the big jump on our Get Out to Vote campaign. And for the voters, we have over 119 Muslim name match registered voters, but we also represent the AAPI community, which is over 219,000 plus. So our target is 100,000 from the 200,000 list that we identify, as Afifa said, from the VAN, which it is an ethnic model in which we do Muslim name match as well as ethnicity model. So this is how we calculate and how do we collect data for the Muslim community.
Thank you,
Thank
Yaman.
you.
And EMGAGE is the only Muslim political organization that has access to this kind of technology. So, you know, thank you, EMGAGE, for your service.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. So you hear there's a lot of need in making calls. 200,000, that's wow. I'm really excited though. Any other questions we have for folks? Thank you for clearing that up for us, Yemen.
One more question. How realistic is trying to get to 1 million voters? And what time frame are we looking at? Don't we have to start now to be able to do that? And do we have enough time for that kind of registration and get out to vote?
I welcome input from the rest of the board in Yemen. I can tell you that the phone banking and the initiatives that we're focused 100% on Florida's goals, but that goal can only be met if we start the work now, if we commit to the work now, if we are making consistent calls and really doing that. If we don't and we wait till the end, I don't feel confident we could make those calls. So we need to start, slow and steady on a regular basis. We can definitely connect with folks. In an election that is what we're going to encounter, which is during some very difficult times, the fact that we can really nudge people to do the vote by mail ballot will help tremendously in any election. I know people are concerned sometimes with security of the vote by mail ballot. It actually does increase the turnout when you get people completing their ballot by mail. So the initiative would be strong on that. And if that could be the case, then I believe you could meet your goals in Florida. I open it up to the other board members for their input.
Sure, I can take a stab at it. So yeah, that's actually a very critical question. Like, how can we turn the Muslim voters out in terms of are we too late? No, we are not too late, because the work actually started 10 years ago when EMGAGE was formed as Muslim political organization to get the vote out, right? And we need everyone to invest. It's a very realistic goal to get the 1 million Muslim vote. And you have seen recently in candidate engagement that we have done at presidential level or local level also, where some of the Muslim issues came up as critical issues. You saw Bernie Sanders spoke about Kashmir and the violence that's going on over there in India. There were a couple of candidates who boycotted APAC and talk about the rights of Palestinians. And the Muslim vote this time got into every single major news outlet, right? They talked about Muslim voter engagement. And whenever we were releasing our endorsement announcements, it also got into major newspapers, right? And one of the reasons is that the candidates are realizing that we are getting the vote out and the Muslim voters are engaged now, and we can do it. So we can definitely reach out to 1 million Muslim vote, but it's not possible without all of you being involved.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment on that? Okay, I'm just going to do a quick scan. Oh, thank you, Yemen. Thank you. Look at that. Oh, wow. Statewide Muslim voter turnout.
Hi, Lori.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. May Smith. Lori, I appreciate you so much to see you here working again in all areas and not worrying about culture divide and helping bring that together like myself. Unfortunately, though, I'm not able to put in a whole lot of help. I started with EMGAGE and working in the Muslim community back in 2015 with my election to Lauderhill. So I'm not sure how much I can put in because I'm a candidate again, but I'm gonna certainly try to see where I can help you at from time to time.
Thank you so much, May. I was very happy to see you on there. It's very good to see good elbows to rub in this time to get folks out to vote. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions we have from folks?
I had one more question. This is Simbala again about the you had mentioned on Tuesdays and Thursdays the phone banking would be from 1 to 5.
Yes.
If that time doesn't work for somebody, you said that would be then a scenario where they could kind of do their independent
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 1 to 5 is really a community opportunity for people to kind of stay deeper connected. But we honestly, we need folks phone banking, you know, every day of the week from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, that would be ideal if I could say wish and then it would happen. But the reality is some people work, some people have different schedules. So I will, once you go through the training and have that one-on-one with me, we'll give you the phone bank, and it's pretty much whenever you have time. But do know that community is there every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 5. You're welcome to hop on, and we'll see if we expand that. This is just our initial community phone banking time. But yes, definitely. In fact, I have phone bankers right now that can only do weekends. Some are doing Tuesday nights. It's really dependent on what is comfortable for you. Any other questions? If you want to take yourself off mute, last call for questions, and I'm going to wrap this up. It's going on an hour. I want to be respectful of people's time.
I will just add one more thing, Laurie, and that's again from my experience, and just re-emphasizing the critical importance of engaging in elections. So Saima and her team, Inal and Tasneem and Brother Mubarak and Sul, they got really engaged in last municipal election in Tampa, and like get out the vote. They organized all kind of phone banking parties and GeoTV events. I had a comment the other day from like, you know, one of the very large union who were trying to reach out to Mayor Castor. And they said they're like, you know, their Mayor Castor's office is so not responsive. And like, you know, they tried everything. And then they asked me, it was like, how come she's there for every Muslim event that you guys are organizing, right? And kudos to the efforts that you guys are doing in Tampa, that she realized that Muslim community is a critical community that she wants to get engaged in. So we can do it. I have seen the stances of candidates changing where we were running after them to now they want to get engaged, and they are like, you know, hey, when are we receiving our candidate questionnaire and all that kind of stuff. And candidates like May who are like, you know, on calls like this to help us organize. So things are changing. It takes like a little bit of more like, you know, of a push to reach us to the goal line, but we are there. We can win championships.
Well, it's amazing you say that, because look at the calendar. It's April and we're having this conversation. And as I said, we already got folks that have gone through the trainings and stuff. So I'm excited. I know these are some real challenging times right now, but there is hope. I am a firm believer that there is always a lot of hope around the corner. And just looking at the amount of people on a Sunday night is really, wow, very inspirational to see so many folks concerned about our community, concerned about what is happening in Florida and the nation, and understanding the importance of civic engagement. I know that there's a lot of bad news on the media, but just look at the folks on this call. There's a lot of hope here. Without further ado, I will, if anybody wants to say last call for anything, if anybody has anything else to say.
One more thing I want to ask Dr. Nancy, that how many states is EMGAGE involved in at this time?
So we have, yeah, so
states?
we are in all the battleground states. So you talk about any states that is like critical for elections, we are in all of them. We have chapters in 5 states, and then networks and relationships in 10 other, right, Yemen?
Yeah, we are in New York. We have a chapter that's working in California. We have a chapter in Texas, Pennsylvania, Virginia, DC, and of course, Florida.
And Michigan.
And Michigan. Yes, we cannot forget Michigan.
Not Wisconsin?
Not yet. Not yet.
Yemen, would you like to close this out? You were not on the front end to welcome people in. I would love if we could hear from you to close this out.
I was enjoying this, but thank you. Thank you, Saima, Tasneem, Lori, Muhammad, Sol, Dr. Nancy. I see everyone here, Manal. I really appreciate your efforts and your work that you do for our community. it's very, very important that we do get out the vote. I heard, is it important that, are we sure we might get a 1 million vote? I think we can get voter ID. I think we can engage the community. It's very possible. We're actually engaging them even in a better stance. I know it's unfortunate times, but we are engaging our community and getting our voter IDs, getting out the vote. And I think with everyone's efforts, I think it's possible. We see that we are collecting over 10,000 calls every week. We're getting voter IDs. I know Lori doing a great job collecting those IDs. And I think this is just a push to the community saying that we're still here and that we're still gonna engage. And if we have to see you guys daily on a Zoom call, this is how we're gonna do it and engage you guys. So it's an honor and a blessing to work for a community that I love. And I'm honored to be with people who love their community enough to take and volunteer their services for their community. So I just thank you all. And I hope to see more people engaged. This is a very important election. No one's gonna stop us from doing this work. We're gonna get this done. And I thank you guys, and I hope you guys have a great evening.
Thank you. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll send that email. You'll see it tomorrow morning.
Good night.
Assalamu alaikum.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Assalamu
Lori.
alaikum, everyone.
Salam, everyone.